Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about career development tasks or issues or transitions that specifically apply to adults. Uh, and this is like middle to late adulthood. So adults who have been in their career field for some time. I guess it could be early adulthood or young adulthood, but a lot of the aspects that I'm going to be talking about might resonate more with kind of that middle to late adulthood, but can still be more broadly applicable. So once again, I'm getting my information from the Ting text, as well as just some lived experiences working with clients and for my own life as well. So I'm just kind of applying some of those dynamics. So the first, I wanted to specifically emphasize three sections from the Ting text in this area, and Ting goes into a lot more detail. And for those of you taking my class, it's going to be in some of my other notes, and some of the other models are shared elsewhere, just in a written format. But I'm going to, verbally in this video talk about job loss, positive uncertainty, and retirement. So to start with job loss, there's a few statements from Ting that I really appreciated. So here they are. So the experience of job loss can be profound. Responses have been described as resembling the stages of grief and can be troubling to both the adult experiencing them and those around them. Additionally, the anger that is a common aspect of the grief experience is often directed inward. People may be angry at themselves for somehow not seeing the unemployment coming, not avoiding the layoff. And then the last line that I wanted to share was recognizing the need to perhaps stay immobilized while feeling this heavy grief. Spencer and Adams provided a compelling metaphor of this type, or excuse me, of this part of the grief process, calling it the pit. Each individual has a unique need for time in the pit, and the counselor and counselors need to both recognize and allow that. So I think that kind of speaks to how job loss can be experienced by people. Like maybe like there might be this sense of urgency that like we need to quickly move through this job loss and find like financial stability, and that might be realistic and exactly what the client needs. But there also is likely going to be these inner experiences that are the unfinished business that that needs to be worked through, or that has the potential to be worked through to be helpful to the person. So as it stated in the text, that might be anger, it might be resentment about the job loss, and these emotions need some space to be processed and made sense of. So the only small example that I wanted to share was from my own life, where it was just a small summer job up in Alaska where I'm at. I point backwards because you can see the snow. It's just October, and yeah, I got hit with a lot of snow. But so I quit a job because I felt like I wasn't being treated right. And I was kind of almost like one of those standard, like confrontations with the boss, just saying, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm not putting up with this anymore." And I was left with like what led me to get to that point was a lot of frustration, a lot of resentment, a lot of kind of built up. I don't know if anger was too strong, but like it was more just like feeling like minimized, So like, but a lot of these, like, even though I think that it's obviously this scenario is a little different because I chose to quit. It's not like being imposed like this unanticipated loss of a job. But a lot of the reactions were similar that like, yeah, I was able to luckily find some temporary work that summer to kind of finish out the season. But I was left kind of needing to make sense of these anger and resentment reactions, which I did throughout time. So I think that can be, so there's multiple, I guess, ways that this job loss can be experienced, even if it is chosen, that some of those reactions can be there. All right, so the next section that I wanted to talk about is positive uncertainty. So this is H.B. Gillett's. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that name at least close to being right. But some of H.B. Gillett's work on positive uncertainty, and it made me think of a certain client that I had who, when I was the career counselor at a university, there was a student who came in who wasn't too far out of the traditional age, but kind of closer to mid 20s and coming back to school, and had lived in a van, had traveled around the country, had just kind of done part-time temporary jobs and just kind of like embraced the nomadic style of life, like van life, and had actually changed her name officially to kind of better represent how she was feeling, who she was. in her life. And it was almost like she was embracing whatever life brought her and almost wanting to re-author and rewrite her story. And she's very much like a go with the flow person and kind of take what life brings and see what happens rather than needing like this fixation on plans and this almost like anxious connection of needing a plan in life. But a few of the themes of Gillett's work really connected. So Gellett talks about several themes, top 10 tactics of doing something different, of acting like a child, taking the pause that refreshes, putting on some different spectacles, so kind of reframing our life and career scenarios, and looking at past performances to with hopefully with the aim of rewriting the future narrative and rewriting rules that like these kind of inner rules that we might have for ourselves or external rules that might be imposed on us. Seek serendipity, sticking out your neck, being willing to kind of take a risk and dream some impossible dreams. Those are some of the major themes. But this client stood out to me because I saw her as someone who is like, so specifically like doing something different for her was like actually going to more structure, so her nomadic lifestyle was almost like going back to school is like, oh, there's this external structure that she had to like reorient to because her way of life was very different than that. So her doing different was going back to what many people perceive as normalcy, but she had goals that necessitated that she would require that education, so it required her to do something different. Also like acting like a child, and this isn't saying be immature, but it's saying like be willing to be spontaneous, to like just it as it says here in the Tang text, do something childlike, or be willing to be kind of foolish and just kind of try something out. Just like being willing to like dream and discover and have an imagination. So I definitely saw this person as embracing this spontaneous nature towards life and being imaginative and being willing not to be like stuck or trapped in specifics and in plans. Uh, then rewriting rules. I saw her as someone who almost helped me kind of rewrite some of the rules of my norms of how I view students. Like she came from a very kind of unique background, even though she is kind of close to traditional age, but had very different life experiences. So she was someone who kind of taught me that she really valued rewriting the rules of saying, I don't have to go to college right after high school. Like her journey made her career and educational process in college more meaningful because she kind of took some time to explore and live the life that she kind of wanted. Uh, and then seek serendipity. I saw her as looking to be surprised, and kind of seeking out those experiences. Like she kind of came into career counseling like I'm not sure I really know what this is or if I even need it, but here I am. She was just like willing to embrace that, and I think she was surprised and pleasantly surprised is kind of how I experienced her by seeing the personal focus of career development, how it can be very personal, of like almost like this self narrative, this self writing process, and how it's holistic, how it's viewing not just like let's focus on a career, right major, right major, but it was like, oh, who are you as a person? What's important to you, and how does this fit into it? She really soaked that in. So, anyways, I just those are a few examples of how some of these principles of positive uncertainty applied to this client, and that surfaced. The last piece that I want to talk about is retirement. So, some people looking at career development might see retirement as beyond the scope of career counseling. But absolutely, I think the skills of career counselors may lead counselor or career counselors to be most efficient in working to help clients with retirement. So the one model that's addressed uh, in the Tang text, it's worked by Ashley from 2000, so a little bit older, but maybe some of these principles can be somewhat timeless. So phase one is considered this pre-retirement phase. So yes, like I'm not retired yet, but it's on my mind. I'm planning for it, and maybe it's more imminent. So the planning process can start very early, obviously. Like we get messages about retirement when we're kids still, but like this imminence is somewhat, at least how I conceptualize it with pre-retirement, is like, okay, it's closer, it's imminent. I've been planning for a while, and now it's close to arrival. So what reactions surface and what needs to be processed in that phase can be important. That could be a period of excitement. It could also be a period of like anticipatory loss or of anxiety about what the future might hold, or anxiety about declining health and death anxiety. It could be a lot of different facets there. Uh, I like in the Ting text how it also talks about pre-retirement that if you're in a partnership with someone and your partner has a different perspective on retirement than you, then that's almost like this couples career counseling work that needs to occur. Like if one person wants to really like be really active and the other is not wanting to do that, like how are they going to navigate those differences? So then phase two, though, leads to retirement. And I liked what Ashley described as three different types of retirement. I'm sure there's plenty more, but these are maybe some three common themes of the honeymoon path, where it might be like, okay, I'm just doing a lot of like leisure and fun experiences. It's almost like an extended vacation. Uh, Another type of person entering retirement might be like the immediate retirement routine. So as Ting describes it, or in the Ting text, it describes it that way. Might be like being very active still, like having lots of organizations that you're a part of. Maybe they're not paid anymore, but they're just like these community involvements that are important. The third that's described is the rest and relaxation path. So not really having like a lots of activity or lots of fun and leisure or community involvement, just kind of like the, as it says here, the rocking chair phenomenon. So there can be it's not like a person picks one of these models. There can be a merging and a mixing of these different types as well as others. Schlossberg described six retirement paths as continuers, those who do more of the same, adventurers, they try new things, searchers, they're kind of looking for their new place, easy gliders who kind of go with the flow of what's surfacing in their life at the time, retreaters, those who kind of give up and don't kind of keep being active in life, or and then the last one is a combination of these various paths. So that's what retirement can, like a few examples of what it could look like. But then phase three relates to disenchantment, that we might be kind of it might be like, okay, this newness of retirement wears off and it's like this new life stage settles in, and that can be, it could be positive for people, but it's like, okay, it's no longer like I'm just on a vacation, an extended vacation. It's like this is my new normal life. And for some people, that can come with like feelings of loss, once again, of like, okay, I don't feel as productive anymore. My identity was very wrapped up in my earlier years, whether that's like a career, a paid career role, or the life roles of being, a parent or whatever it is, that life changes pretty significantly. It also might be, uh, like a lot of structure is just lost. So it's like rebuilding that for ourselves. So that isn't even always an easy task. So then reorientation is phase four, and retirement routine is phase five. So reorientation is like, okay, almost it's like working through that disenchantment stage and phase of like, okay, now I need to recreate a new life here. And that's part of that reorientation process, that process of creating that new normal. And then the phase five retirement routine is having established this new like retirement life. And it's not saying that every single person will, in a linear path, go through each one of these stages. And maybe some will just kind of start in that immediate retirement routine and just kind of have lots of plans to just continue in that, and they don't experience this disenchantment, but some could. And then phase six, the last one, is termination of retirement. This section is really small in the Ting text, but it describes it here as like, maybe this seems like a logically impossible stage, that it's like, wait, how do you terminate retirement? But that could be death. It could also be just disability and illness that like kind of ends the normal plans for retirement. It's just like kind of surviving at that point. So I think there is like a significant, or there can be a significant need for addressing grief and anticipatory, just like death anxiety reactions. But it could also be a really like spiritual process for some people of making sense of their life, the wholeness of their life, making sense of the afterlife. So that termination, and that's what I would add to the Tang text that wasn't really there, but I think it can be that there's lots more of a process that could be there for those who, where it's not just like I die, but it's like, okay, I'm not able to do the retirement task that I had planned, and it's really just kind of managing, health symptoms until I die. So, anyways, uh, those are a few reactions for this video that that's relate to career development with adults, and into older adulthood as well. So questions or comments are always appreciated, and yeah, thanks for watching the video.